Are you ready for the excitement of going out there and doing a little bit of hunting? It's Saturday, so today's usually a pretty good day to do stuff like this. And as always, how about we kick it off with another edition of the Pocket Change Market Report? I certainly hope you guys are not tired of this series. I've been doing it for a number of years now, and based off of the general mood of the folks out there, you guys truly hate it. No, I'm just kidding. You guys really love it. But in all seriousness, yeah, we are officially in full fall mode. I almost butchered that one. Oh yeah, it's a great time to be in the hobby. There's just so much to look for out there in circulation and out just in the wild in general. I threw out the wild because you could cherry pick some of these coins out a local coin shop, or maybe a regional show that you guys like to attend. They pop up everywhere. Every weekend there's at least one coin show out there stateside that a lot of people do know about. But yeah, I mean, traditionally we talk about some of the best varieties and errors that exist out there that you could just simply find out of your pocket change or going through coin rolls. And cherry picking your local shop and show. Yeah, I've said that once, I'll say it again. It is a great way to add to your collection at a very minimal cost. And for those of you that embrace the reselling kind of benefits of doing this, there are quite a few of you out there that are certainly taking advantage of that, because there are some big money makers out there. Large or small, we talk about all of them, baby. And we also talk about nothing but raw coins. We don't typically bring up graded. I reserve that for a completely different video, which, by the way, another one's coming up here early next week, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, this is all raw, ungraded coins. No extra added expense of grading any of these, because they certainly sell for themselves. So I'm ready to jump into it. Are you? Let's go ahead and take a look at this grand old list that we have here. So our big feature subject coin is going to kind of anchor this puppy along. And yeah, the Kansas Statehood Quarter. You guys know what you could find on here. The In God We Rust. My goodness, this is a coin that sells in droves. I mean, just like dozens of these things sell every week. And I'm scratching my head, because the amount of money that these particular anomalies sell for, which, they're kind of like clogged eyes, okay? The T in the word trust has some grease in there, so it's not fully striking up some of that particular letter. Like this one right here is pretty weak, but it's not completely missing. I've seen some examples where it is completely missing, and then you're also missing, the R in trust as well. But these things, ladies and gentlemen, have been found for years, 15 plus years. And surprisingly, I don't know if there's a buyout or whatever. There's something weird's going on, because there's a lot of people that are embracing this very minor error. But at the same time, we also have to pay respect to the fact that it is kind of like a coincidental type of error, oh, it's the letter T in trust that's missing, so we're going to call it the In God We Rust error. And that is primarily the big reason why these have been embraced. It's kind of like the spitting horse on the reverse of a Delaware quarter. I mean, those things are selling for like $5, $10, $20, and same with this. This example sold for $9.49. And I tell you, because I go back about 48 hours of sales activity on eBay, there's probably a good 10 to 15 of these that sell in a 24-hour period. It just blows my mind. And the most wild part of it, the prices are consistent. So, me personally, this is not an error that I personally like for my collection, but consider this a PSA. If you guys are going through quarters and you're passing up looking through these, and they're coming up mostly on Philadelphia minted examples, you're doing yourself a disservice, especially when that ultimate goal is to make a few dollars. I mean, when you can find a quarter, turn it around and sell it for $10 to $20, I mean, that speaks volumes. That's like easy money to be made. And for some folks out there that are avid roll hunters of quarters specifically, and you're not looking for these, and you're passing them over, I don't know what to say. That's a huge mistake in my book. The next one that we have here, pretty cool, very well worn, 1945 Lincoln Wheat Cent with some pretty nice strike through on the reverse. Probably some very thick, compoundy type of grease, along with some debris mixed in, was on that reverse die. And when it strikes through onto the host coin, you're going to end up with a lot of loss of devices. You're going to have the pretty good depressions that you see here on this one. Not a fantastically gorgeous looking coin, but this is a nice little minor example of this error. Sold for $5, so better than a slap in the face for sure. I would take $5 for this all day long. Another minor one here, 1973D Rosie, with a slight little clip, but just looking at the coin, you can tell that this thing has seen quite a bit of life out there in the world today. Buying, groceries and a cup of coffee and, things of that nature. So this thing has been passed through many hands, and just goes to show you that these things can be found in any condition. So, quick little clip, even has some Blakesley effect on there, which is what you want to see. $5.30. So this one has a home for a pretty decent amount of money. Another cool one here, albeit, probably a coin that you won't likely come across going through rolls, but I've been tricked before. I've seen these pop up on occasion. This is a 1989P Rosie dime, off center by about 15%-ish, somewhere in that area. Coin is in relatively good shape as well. $18.30 was the final sale price on this. All right, and another PSA for you guys. Machine doubling is an anomaly that trips up most newer collectors. 1972 is one of the premier, I would say, modern dates that you want to see, right? You recognize that there's a number of doubled dies that exist for this date, so the opportunity is very high to find something really neat. But much like the 69S, there are machine doubled type coins like you see here. You can just tell the flat shelf-like features and how thin the actual devices are on the date here. It says everything that you need to know. All right, machine doubling is damage as a result of the striking process. And no, it's not a variety. There are some that would say that this might be an error, and this is coming from a few of the notable experts out there today. I'm going to reserve my right to say that this is anything at all other than machine doubling. $40 is what this one sold for, okay? And do not underestimate the power of machine doubling. As much as I hate talking about it and seeing a big sale, there are examples that if in nice condition, people are actually paying some pretty good money on. 69S is a big date because of its tie-in to the FS101. But how about 1972? This is one of the first examples I've seen in quite some time. And $40 is not a small sale at all. So if you do come across these, I figure take advantage of the market because there will be a buyer. All right, hey, we got a star note, and as you would guess, this is a 2013 B New York District star. All right, this is a duplicate print star. It falls within the serial number range for this, so the same serial numbers were printed at both the Washington, D.C. facility back in 2013, and then the Fort Worth BEP facility printed the same friggin' serial numbers again with a star. And that was a number of years later. So, yeah, that was a little bit of a mistake. So, people are buying these up. They're putting it onto the registry. I forgot off the top of my head where it is. But the idea is there are folks that are trying to pair up the serial numbers with the DC and the Fort Worth prints, and they are worth quite a bit of money. I think the last one we saw sold for over $9,000, which is just a monumental amount of money for a modern currency find. But yeah, it's something to keep an eye out there. If you feel like you might have one of these, just go ahead and audit the serial number onto a site like mycurrencycollection.com. When you plug in all of the serial numbers and stuff like that, it'll force you to choose between Fort Worth and DC. All right, so when that feature comes up, you know you have a duplicate run star. This one sold for $25. Again, that's kind of like par for the course. $15 to $25 is the average sell rate for these notes. Reverse of the note, as you see here, just general circulation wear. And here's a close-up. One thing I want to point out, the Fort Worth printings will have FW here as part of the plate number. So make sure you look out for that as well. All right, so this is a great date to just cherry pick. And you could generally find nicer condition, kind of like BU and higher. Brilliant uncirculated is a very generic terminology for something that's like mint state 62 to 64. But this is a 38D RPM. This is a repunch mint mark. This is a great coin to hunt for folks that are getting into the hobby for the first time, because there's a number of not only RPMs, but there's a couple of very notable over mint marks as well, D over S's. So make sure that if you're like attending your first show or you're going to a coin shop, I want you guys to take some time to look through the inventory of 38Ds. And they can be in any condition. I do know that the over mint marks sell for a considerable amount more money if you're able to find those. But the RPMs are simply fantastic as well. So this one, you can see the secondary D is punched westward of the primary, and it shows very, very clearly on this example. I actually own a few of these myself, maybe not to this degree of grade right here, which is fantastic. The seller had mentioned it's a low mint state grade. But this is, again, one of the more common varieties to find on this particular date. And again, there's like 5 or 6 different mint mark varieties to be found on this date. A lot of them were eschewed right out of circulation in high grades. So, if you found one, and they're really easy to find, especially at coin shops in, like mint state 65 grade. But, you search through them, and if you have the tool necessary to look at this, and again, you're going to need to have magnifier, all right? The little pocket magnifier that does at least like 8 to 10 times power, that's almost a necessity when you go to a coin shop. Always carry one with you if you know you're going. But this one right here sold for $34.65. Again, a coin that you can buy for around $10 and then automatically 3x your money. I mean, sign me up, man. That's pretty good. And it won't be the first or last one that you will find of this. Not a beautiful coin. This one has 99 problems. But the best non-problem is the fact that this one is a broad struck error. 1945 Lincoln wheat with grease and crap on the reverse. But man, the front of the coin did a number, man. It's just got scratches all around it. So you would think with all the things going on here, this coin wouldn't be worth too much. But $19.50 later is a pretty solid sale. Even though errors, in a sense, are kind of like unique specimens for the specific coin, grade still does matter. So keep that in mind, in that the grade still plays a role in the valuation of these. Oh, well, we have to back up the first Kansas Rust quarter with another one. Just to show you like the variances in pricing. The first one sold for $9.50. Here's another example, pretty well worn. I mean, at this point, 17 years later, almost 18 years, you're not really going to find too many specimens of the Kansas statehood quarter that are going to be in really nice shape. Unless someone like broke up a set and then decided to just send it to the bank because the coin dealer told them to. So again, another great example. You can see this one has a letter T that is almost completely missing. This one sold for $11.50 with 2 bids. So it falls very much in line with previous sales, especially the last one I talked about. And I'm going to say that the other like 7 or 8 that I came across during the course of my investigation for the PCMR have all sold in that like $10, $15 range. There was one that sold for $18. So again, popularity is unwavering for these coins. For whatever reason, people do love them. 1974 Lincoln Memorial Cent with a cool little cud right there at the base of Lincoln's bust. So a piece of the die had broken and fallen off just through attrition. You know, the dies go through a lot of wear and tear during the strikes. So it will strike up a blob anomaly that's raised and usually involves the edge, and it goes into the devices somewhere, and that's a cud for you. This one, pretty decent shape, sold for $33.11 with 5 bids. So you figure we're going to talk about a gutter fold error at some point in the video. So we have one right here. Really nice early dated, funky shape. I mean, the paper overall has a funky shape to it because of that wrinkle in the sheet. 1950C $5 bill. The serial number is actually kind of interesting. We have 4s, 5s, and 6s. Some people call that a trinary. I just call it marginal. That type of fancy serial number does not really belong on the top echelon of fancies. But what's most important is definitely that gutter fold in there. And it's a pretty interesting looking note, the way it goes from a corner, because I thought the corner was chewed up, but that's actually where the gutter ends. It's right on that corner. This one right here ended up selling for $90. Not too bad considering its condition. 59D. This is always a coin that you should look at for varieties, especially RPMs. This is a really good looking one right here. You can see that the secondary Denver mint mark was punched southeastward of the primary mint mark. There are a few, including a quadruple punched RPM, which is just fascinating. I think I own one, and it looks like the mint mark is just smeared southward. Some pretty amazing RPMs for this date. This one sold for $10, which isn't too bad. You know, again, the condition plays a huge role in this. Pretty cool, no-dated, uncentered Lincoln Memorial Cent. I would say it's probably about 55% off center. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have a date, and I know that's kind of like the big deal with a lot of these because they're collected by date. But this one certainly deserves a mention here on this show because it is a pre-1983 copper. If this was a later dated Zinken, you can actually see the splitting in the plating, and you can see exposed zinc all over the place. This one, however, we do know for a fact that it is a copper composition. This one right here, even though without a date, it's a really nice shape. It's a pretty gorgeous coin. $21.95 was the final sale. Another good one here, although 1983p off-center Washington quarters are quite common in the marketplace, this one is pretty decent. The picture is photographed in a cardboard 2x2. Again, you guys know my stance on that. I'm not a particular fan of it because of all the false kind of reflections that you see. Although the seller did do a decent job with this one. Coin sold for $48.99 through auction, and 15 bidders got it to that level. Our next piece of currency comes in the way of a 1977 20. Almost a birthday note. September 1st, the year 8374 is a long time in the future. Don't know if this note will ever be around then because it's paper, guys. But anyways, a pretty interesting note in a sense that the stuff is on the back, by the way. We have a partial front-to-back wet ink transfer. Consider it the paper equivalent to a clash die on coinage. There was a little bit of ink on the impression cylinder, and that's just because there wasn't a sheet when the impression cylinder and the plates made contact. So, with that being said, the next sheet that did feed in with the reverse picture, I guess, already printed on there. We'll have an overprint of the black ink that was, in a sense, clashed onto the impression cylinder. This one ended up selling for $117.75. 6 bitters strong on this one. Pretty good note. For a second, I thought we'd be talking about another Kansas quarter, but no. This is a Tuskegee Airmen strike-through. So, yeah, these are starting to make their way back into the marketplace. Not to the same level as they used to sell at last year. You guys remember some of these got up to, like 100, 200. And there were a few examples that eclipsed the $300 mark for some of the more stronger strike-throughs. And they call these field-restricted strike-throughs because the feeder finger actually played a role in moving these things around. But the perfect placement of these is what gives them their popularity. The burning building. The building is on fire. And considering that that's the Tuskegee Airmen's headquarters, I don't feel quite as good about it. But, these are widely collected by progression. So there are folks that collect like the smaller ones, and then they collect every progression until they get to the much bigger strike-throughs. And, there are even some that have strike-throughs that are almost to the wing of the airplane, giving it the appearance that it shot a missile or something. They're actually very neat errors. So even though these aren't like a few $100s anymore, I got to let you know that, there is still quite a bit of value here. This one sold for $66 through conventional auction. 6 bidders were accumulated to that amount. Another good one here, very nice high-grade specimen of the FS101 DDO on the 1995. As you can see, Liberty and the motto showing all sorts of great gravy train style doubling as you would like to see. Always a favorite in the variety community along with the Lincoln Cent collectors. This one sold for $51.99. Pretty good looking specimen. Here's another Tuskegee Airman, although there's no strike through on this one, but it's here for a reason. So the photos were taken at kind of at an angle. That's why it looks a little funny. And the lenses appear to be a little greased up. We have kind of like that halo kind of weird funky look to it. Yeah, pretty nice sized die chip. I've talked about this one before, going from the goggles all the way into the word wars on here. So this is like one of the bigger progressions I've seen of this. And as a result, the coin ended up selling for $24.99. Another one to keep an eye out for, there are lesser sized die chips that go from the goggles to like a letter. And we've seen a few of those sell here in the last few days for around like $5-6. But the bigger progressed die chips like this one will always command more money. In this case, $25. Another really cool gutter fold. This time we have multiple gutter events on the front of the note, as you see there. So the sheet had a number of wrinkles happening. Neat little serial number. Some will say it's low, but I think it's just a neat little serial number. Another trinary, for those of you that care. This one right here sold for $98, and the note is in really nice shape. It's circulated just a little bit, but I'm telling you, this is just a good-looking piece. More currency. Now, this one is awesome. 2013, I believe, is what we have here. No, 2003. I'm sorry, 2003. Actually, no, it says 13. 2013 series. So yeah, it's got the updated Secretary of Treasury for 2000. Okay, yeah, the seller had mentioned it was a 2003, but this is a 2013. So this is a newer note. But take a look at the last letter there, the suffix letter on the second serial number string. Is a gas pump turned stuck letter. So that's actually the top of a letter C. It's the next letter on that wheel that turned partially. There's no remnants of the letter B. This is a big note, ladies and gentlemen, and on a much more modern piece as well. This one here sold for, I don't know, just $107.50. with 22 bids. Yeah, that's some serious cash right there. If you're able to find these, again, it's all going to be a matter of looking down at your notes for stuff like this. And thankfully, it's on a dollar bill, because that means a lot as far as the overall return on your hunt. There's a back of the note. Again, a pretty decent looking note. No tears, nothing crazy. Yeah, more currency. We have another one here. This is a $5 bill. This one is quite minor, but you guys will appreciate this one because, money was made here. 2017A, a much newer note. Gas pump style turn digit, that last 5 in the serial number. So that's the big sales push for this particular item. $24.99. So a nice little return there on that one as well. All right, well, the seller seems to believe that this is a 1974 Jefferson nickel. After looking at this one, I can either call this one the Zombie Zorro edition because of the carbon spotting on Jefferson's face. I just made that up right now. I just saw it right now for the first time and noticed the carbon spotting. But yeah, the coin's off center, maybe by 10, 15% is what we're looking at. This one sold for $22.50 with 10 bids. Another one here as well. Again, these are being scooped up by date collectors for this type of error. 1999p could be a broad strike. It could also be an off-center. It's very close and it's very minimal. This one sold for $24.50 with 16 bids. And another one here, I believe, from the same seller, although they've knocked out all the images through all the listings, except for this one. The reverse is way out of focus. But thankfully, it's the reverse and not the front. It's a 1994P. This is a date that you don't really see too often, off-center struck. And there are collectors that obviously were pursuing this one. $42.99 was the final sale price through 21 bids. Very, very solid buy. And we also have a statehood quarter. Again, very well collected series for off-center strikes. It's posing a very, very big challenge because there are just some states that don't have off-center strikes. So, Georgia is not one of them. I've seen Georgia quite a few times. This is a 1999P. So far, we've only seen, for the most part, Philadelphia minted examples of this anomaly. This one sold for $14.48 with 12 bids. And the one coin that we haven't talked about in a few weeks, we have another one here. The Wilma Mankiller. This is, of course, a coin that everybody's hunting for right now. And with good reason. It's very valuable. Reminiscent to the 2021 Lincoln Cent retain cud. We're seeing the same stuff on this quarter. You can see the retain cud there at the top of Washington's head, along with what is the beginnings of a crack. As you guys know, there is a more advanced progression of this error where there's a crack that goes through the star and into like halfway through the coin. It's actually quite stunning. So my dreams of seeing this hit $1,000 hasn't quite been realized. I'm not giving up hope yet because this is such a great looking error, and these are hot in the market. This is like a top 10 most pursued coin on the marketplace today. This one right here sold for $360 with 9 bids. And we have another one of these. We talk about at least one of these per week, but here's a North Dakota, very well worn, very circulated 2006 quarter, with a reverse cud die break, which, between this and the West Virginia and a few others, quite common occurrence and, always a good find as well. This one sold for $9.62. And we have a Lincoln Cent. Seller seems to think it's a 1970s era of Lincoln that was struck through a late stage capped die. So the actual hammer die still had its cap, which is a coin that's stuck to the die. It never ejected. And it strikes every other coin with that coin capped onto the hammer die. And then the late stage, that die cap is thinned out quite a bit, where it's pushing through the original devices on the die through the cap and onto the coin. So you're able to see, like, mushiness in what is supposed to be there. This particular example sold for $42.05 with 11 bids. Always a solid seller on the secondary market. Here's another CUD, the biggest one here in the last day or two. Actually, we have a couple. All right, 1982 large date Lincoln Memorial with a CUD there between K9 and K10.5 somewhere. Yeah, pretty nice size. You can see the weakness on the reverse as well. That's what you want to see as kind of like a additional marker for legitimacy, I suppose. This one sold for $97.99 with 11 bids, but it's not the last CUD. We have one more here coming up. Yeah, we haven't talked about this one either. I mentioned the 2021 retained CUD, but this is the just K3 to K7 die crack. This is the beginning progression of this particular error. And look at the coin. This is what you would expect to find these days, because a lot of them had circulated up to this point. So, yeah, pretty nice find. This one right here, surprisingly in this condition, sold for $126.99. 5 bids got it up to that amount. We're going to end it off on a few of my favorites. How about a 1926 Buffalo Nickel? This bad boy is off-center by, the seller had said 30%. It's close. I'd probably be more around 20% on this, but okay, we'll go with 30%. Again, these obsolete type coins with off-centers and broad strikes are neat, interesting, and error collectors love them. This particular example ended up selling for $429.80. 3 bidders cranked it up to that amount. So very, very nice sale. And just goes to show you just the overall power of these type of errors on the obsoletes. And here's another one right here. There were actually probably a good half a dozen of these newly attributed doubled earring Maya Angelou quarters that have sold here in the last 2 days. And they all seem to be the same type also. So our panel group, the Live Coin Q&A, which I'm graciously a part of, thank you, boys and girls, for allowing me to be on that channel, by the way, as one of the contributors. We had an individual that had emailed us for the very first time the doubled earring quarter that you see here. We helped kickstart this one. We told that person to go ahead and send it off to Variety Vista's Dr. James Wiles, and he attributed it as VDDR number 1. So our group spearheaded the discovery of this particular variety that you see here, and it's really cool. On a brand new series where there's a lot of other bangers that you could find, you could add in a couple very notable varieties to the mix, and they're all on this Maya Angelou. Now, I added in the left-hand picture showing the reverse. There wasn't really a great obverse picture, but check that out. I mean, it's a coin that is not at the highest grade. It's got little nicks and stuff. It's circulated, and, it's not the perfect piece. But just to let you guys know, people are finding these. They know about the variety, and as a result, they're selling these for quite a decent amount of money. This one sold for $26. And as a matter of fact, all the other ones that have sold here in the last 2 days have sold for right around $25 to $30. Kind of like putting it in that pricing tier that is, worthy of such a really neat find. And then finally, we're going to end it off again on one of my favorite CUD die breaks coming on the Washington Quarter. It's been speculated that this is either from the 70s or 80s. Probably more so the 70s because there's no mint mark on there. The CUD is right over the date, so we don't know what the date is. There is actually another type of the same error where there's a retained CUD right here in this section that covers United. So it's a double-sided event type of error. Pretty neat. This one's in good shape as well. Sold for $103. Always going to be a very, very valuable coin here and in the future. So make sure you're looking out for these. Apparently they're not that rare to begin with, but if you go through enough quarters, you may come across something like this. But that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for this edition of the PCMR, the Pocket Change Market Report. I'm your host, Sean, with Blue Ridge Silverhound. As always, it was truly a pleasure to deliver this long report for you guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel and to my video if you haven't done so. Come check me out. Come follow me on TikTok as well. If you like really nice short videos, aside from what we're watching here, that might be another way for you to get your fix of my videos and for looking for really big finds out there. But that's going to go ahead and wrap her up for this weekend. I wish you guys the best. Happy hunting, and I will see you on the next coin video. So long.